The top stories tonight in Y News. Attendees at the President's State of the Nation address will take a COVID-19 test a day ahead of the event.
The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases suspends anew the non-essential overseas travel of Filipinos.
President Rodrigo Duterte to certify as urgent proposed Bayanihan 2.
More than 200 individuals seek shelter at the Manila North Harbor after their sea voyages back to their provinces got cancelled.
Australia forecasts its biggest budget deficit since World War II on a virus-driven stimulus.
Final Qantas 747 draws a kangaroo logo on its flight path to Los Angeles.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, July 23, 2020. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the globe. I am Harleen Delgado.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media account and our website, untvweb.com. I'm Angelo Castro III.
First in the news, a day before President Rodrigo Duterte addresses the Filipino nation on July 27, attendees at the event will be tested for coronavirus. Malacanang reveals the number of officials who will attend the event will be limited. Our palace correspondent Rosa Licoz explains why.
Malacanang reveals that everyone who will be present during the 5th State of the Nation address at the Batasang Pambansa on Monday, including President Rodrigo Duterte, will be subjected to reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction or RT-PCR tests prior to the event, although some will be subjected to rapid testing. The COVID-19 test will be conducted on Sunday.
Ang alam ko lang po, lahat ng papasok po sa loob ng batasan will be subjected to PCR testing on Sunday, the night before, at lahat po ng nasa grounds ng batasan will be administered also rapid tests.
According to Presidential Spokesperson Roque, the President's SONA will be aired live on Monday. The number of attendees will be limited to 50 lawmakers, 15 cabinet members, and a certain number of Presidential Security Group or PSG personnel. The attendance of the President's family members is still uncertain. Malacanang also stands firm the Duterte administration was able to somehow fulfill its promise of comfortable lives for Filipinos before President Duterte's term ends.
Tupad naman ng Pangulo yung pangako niyang mas komportableng buhay para sa lahat bago nga ang sigalot ng COVID. Tandaan po natin na nung unang 3 taon at kalahati ng presidente, nagkaroon po tayo ng pinakamababang hunger figures. Napakataas po ng ating growth ng ating ekonomiya at pinakamabuting credit rating po ang meron ng Pilipinas ngayon, bagamat meron pong sigalot na COVID.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A Filipino medical expert recommends stricter community quarantine measures in Metro Manila. His projection: adverse impact on the country's economy and health situation if COVID-19 transmission is not controlled. One of our senior correspondents, Ray Pelayo, details why.
Former Special Advisor to the National Task Force against COVID-19, Dr. Tony Leachon, is worried about the rising number of COVID-19 cases in the Philippines. If the steady increase does not get controlled, hospitals and health workers will eventually be burdened with patients. That will also have an economic impact, which might result in a recession, he says.
Ang nakakatakot yan yung sa bahay mamamatay na. At di ba, marami tayong stories ngayon na gusto pumunta ng pasyente pero puno na yung hospital.
The University of the Philippines Octa Research projects that the current number of cases in the Philippines will increase to more than 85,000 cases and 2,000 deaths by end of July 2020. And in its forecast report number 12 posted by UP Media Public Relations Office, Octa Research points out, assuming that the reproduction number now at 1.75 remains and there is no significant change in the interventions and strategies by the government, the current number of cases in the NCR will lead to 45,000 cases by the end of July and more than 80,000 cases with 2,800 deaths by the end of August. Even after leaving the National Task Force Against COVID-19 in June, the palace continues to consult Dr. Lechon just like on July 15, when President Duterte personally listened to the recommendations of experts he invited. Now, if he were asked as a doctor, Dr. Lechon recommends the entire National Capital Region be resubjected to enhanced community quarantine. But since it is necessary to balance the economy and health, the government should consider at least modified ECQ. He notes that movements in Metro Manila should be confined so that cases in Region 3 and 4A would not aggravate. Lechon adds that under MECQ, only 50% of the workforce should be allowed to go to work, adding that it would help limit virus transmission. The government, for its part, is just monitoring developments before coming up with a decision in the following days.
There is always the possibility of going back to MECQ or even ECQ. Depende sa development. No? And even the President said na actually, the huling meeting namin, he was opting for MECQ, but we requested the President that our NCR mayors really promised that they will make sure that localized lockdown are implemented.
Dr. Lechon reiterates the importance of additional budget for anti-COVID-19 programs that will fund free testing and face masks, including additional contact tracers. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
2 years from now, informal settlers in Manila City may have better roofs over their heads through Build Manila. And Manila City offers the service of another COVID-19 testing site free of charge. Dante Amento tells us why.
The nation's capital wants to test probable and suspect COVID-19 carriers, not just its residents but also non-Manileños for free. Today, Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso and Vice Mayor Hani Lacuna Pangan led the opening of the city's second COVID-19 walk-in testing site in Gat Andres Bonifacio Memorial Medical Center at Del Pantundo. The walk-in testing site will be open from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock in the afternoon for 100 individuals every day. It uses a serology machine which has 99.6% sensitivity. People who will avail of free testing will have their blood samples taken. Test results will be available within 24 hours.
First come, first serve. We don't want to make it exclusive. We want to make it available to everybody. Ang matyaga, may nilaga. Dadali mo lang ID.
Individuals who will yield positive in the test will be subjected to a confirmatory swab test in Manila City also for free. Residents grabbed the opportunity to be tested today, like some who are looking for employment or seeking to return to their provinces.
Record na po kasi ngayon ng rapid test sa lahat po ng mga ina-applyan po namin.
Balik probinsya po kasi kailangan ng rapid test bago makabiyahe.
Manila's first COVID-19 walk-in testing center is located just outside the Hospital ng Sapaloc. Also today, the city's top 2 officials also led the groundbreaking of the 15-story Binondominium 1 housing project. Mayor Dumagoso said it will be intended primarily for informal settlers in the city, but this housing project will also allow Manila City residents living in poverty as well as street dwellers to have decent home, a roof over their heads.
Kaya ito minomero, Binondominium 1, Binondominium 2, Binondominium 3, 4, 5, 6, padiretso yan doon. Yung lahat ng makukuha natin squatter na inilipat natin dito, yung binakantihan nila, tayo ron.
The city project under Build Manila costs more than 400 million pesos. It is seen to be completed in 2 years' time. This is part of the mayor's plan to create an in-city vertical housing project in the nation's capital. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
One hospital in Tagbilaran City, Bohol Province, temporarily closes after hospital staff got exposed to a mother and her child who are suspected to have COVID-19. 16 hospital staffers are now under quarantine. On July 19, the woman took her child to Tagbilaran Maternity and Children's Hospital due to vomiting and fever. The hospital accommodated the child, suspecting it was a case of dengue fever. It was only later when the hospital found out from the Tagbilaran Health Office that the woman and her child have a fellow family member who is a COVID-19 positive. The hospital has undergone this infection and will remain closed until the result of the test done on the child gets released in 5 days. The local government will also study the possible charges to be filed against the woman for not providing complete information about her health condition. Bohol Province has so far recorded 7 cases of coronavirus infection, all through community transmission.
Filipinos who plan to travel outside the country for holiday trips will be prevented again by the government. Rosalie Coz tells us why.
The Interagency Task Force Against COVID-19 suspends a new non-essential overseas travel of Filipinos. This is because only one travel insurance agreed to provide rebooking, accommodation, and hospitalization expense coverage for passengers if their trips get cancelled or if they test positive for COVID-19. Based on IATF Resolution Number 52, released earlier this month, one of the requirements for non-essential outbound travel was to secure a travel and health insurance.
Iisang insurance company lamang sa Pilipinas ang pumayag ng ganitong travel at health insurance. Kaya sinuspindi muna ng IATF ang non-essential outbound travel.
But presidential spokesperson Harry Roque clarified passengers with confirmed flight bookings as of July 20, 2020 will still be allowed to pursue their trip. The palace has also mentioned the possibility of testing millions of Metro Manila residents for coronavirus. The National Capital Region continues to be the epicenter of COVID-19 in the country. UP Octa research even finds that the number of cases, positivity rate, and hospital resource utilization have all increased in National Capital Region, indicating a genuine surge is happening. According to Testing SAR Secretary Vince Tison, testing millions of Filipinos is possible through pooled testing, in which a number of people from a certain group in a community can be subjected to reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction or RT-PCR testing.
Kakayanin po kung gagamitin natin ng pool testing. At tingin ko po ay gagabas na po yan sa review ng Department of Health.
According to the Health Department, more than 1.1 million individuals have been tested in the country as of 2 p.m. of July 22. Rosalie Coz, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Department of Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara denies allegations that quarantine rules are not being fairly enforced, which critics link to inconsistent application of the rule of law. Some of those critics are citing the possible health protocol breach that Senator Coco Pimentel committed in March. Joanano tells us why.
Social status has nothing to do with the enforcement of law, not even quarantine protocols. This is the stand of Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara, who reiterates there is no double standard apply when implementing anti-coronavirus measures.
I wouldn't really say that there is an inconsistent application of the rule of law. It just so happened that a greater number of those arrested came from the lower income groups, no? And that's simply because they're the ones who were caught on the streets, no? And for that reason, since they have been found, or at the time of their arrest, were found to be violating certain quarantine rules and regulations, kaya sila marami, no?
A lot of Filipinos are wondering why no criminal case has been filed against Senator Coco Pimentel. The lawmaker went to Makati Medical Center in March when he had not received the result of his COVID-19 test yet, possibly exposing hospital staff to the virus then. Another is the case of National Capital Region Police Office Director Major General Debold Sinas for his birthday party organized by fellow policemen. Despite the controversy, General Sinas remains in his post. Many Filipinos find these unfair as there are around 200,000 quarantine violators across the country arrested and detained temporarily. Secretary Guevara argues that is only a matter of perception and that there is no special treatment depending on social status. He further explains that investigations are being conducted on both Senator Pimentel and General Sinas, while complaints have been filed in the prosecutor's office against policemen proven to have violated quarantine protocols.
So it's really a matter of perception, no? But kasi greater number yung mga tao sa masasabi natin na nasa lower income levels, yung tinatawag natin mga mahihirap, na nahuhuli sa mga violations. So, but it doesn't mean at all that there is an unfair application of the law. We apply this uniformly as possible.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Let's now take a closer look at the updated count of coronavirus cases around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has now reached a total of more than 15.2 million confirmed cases. That's after countries reported a total of more than 205,000 new cases. There are no additions to the 188 countries, regions, and sovereignty struggling with the pandemic. The fast-spreading disease has claimed more than 623,000 lives after close to 6,000 new deaths were recorded, while the number of patients across the globe who have recovered from the new coronavirus infection has surpassed 8.6 million. Thanks be to God.
Meanwhile, the country's Department of Health says that 2,200 new cases were reported today from total tests done by 76 out of 90 laboratories across the country. That raises the total confirmed cases of the coronavirus infection in the Philippines to 74,390. There are 48,136 active cases remaining, of which 90.1% are in mild condition. We have lost 28 more patients. But through our fervent prayers, medical interventions, and sacrifices of our medical frontliners, 760 more people have won their battle against the invisible enemy. That brings the total recoveries nationwide to 24,383. Thanks be to God. President Rodrigo Duterte will certify as urgent the proposed Bayanihan 2 or We Recover as One law according to Malacanang. This is essential for the country's recovery from the severe impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Bayanihan 2 will replace the Bayanihan to Heal as One law, which expired on June 24. It gave the Duterte administration special powers in 3 months' time to respond to the health crisis in the country.
Kampante pa rin tayo sa isang V-shaped recovery dahil napakalakas nga ng ating ekonomiya, kakayanin po natin ito. Pagdating naman po dun sasabihin ni Presidente, siguro antayin na lang po natin, talagang hindi ko po pangunahan ng Presidente, pero naririyan din po yung Bayanihan 2 na sigurado ko na isa-certify as urgent, at yung Bayanihan 2 naman po, isa po yan sa napaka malakas na sandata na gagamitin natin para tayo po ay makabangon dito sa aberya ng COVID.
Filipino specialists recommend a yearly vaccination against flu amid the COVID-19 pandemic. They say flu vaccination helps protect people who belong to the vulnerable sector like senior citizens. Our health correspondent, Aiko Miguel, details why.
There are other safety measures aside from minimum health protocols that people should observe while the whole world awaits an effective vaccine to protect against COVID-19. Dr. Arthur Desiruman, an internist and infectious disease specialist, together with the immunization advocate Philippine Foundation for Vaccination, recommend that people should be vaccinated against flu. This is especially now that there is a pandemic and the rainy season in the country has begun.
Kailangan nating i-boost yung level ng antibodies na napoproduce against the flu virus. Okay? So, maaaring natanggap natin ngayon, number 1, yung ating immunity ay bumababa over time, at number 2, ay maaaring sa susunod na taon ay iba na yung nagsisirculate na strain. So, sa ngayong panahon na ito na uso ang influenza at ang COVID-19, okay, mahalaga na i-monitor natin yung ating mga signs and symptoms.
According to Dr. Roman, the elderly or people aged 65 and above are susceptible to infections and complications brought about by COVID-19. Even more prone to get infected SARS-CoV-2 are older adults with comorbidity like diabetes. Based on data, there is an addition of 5,000 influenza-associated deaths annually in the Philippines. 67 of those deaths occur in the elderly age of 60 and above. According to Dr. Eric Tayag of the DOH, flu and COVID-19 have the same symptoms such as fever, cough, body aches, fatigue, and sore throat. Dr. Tayag says it is difficult to differentiate COVID-19 from flu, so it is better to get vaccinated with a COVID-19 vaccine.
Kung nagkataon na meron kang lagnat, una muna natin i-consider ay COVID-19. Sapagkat alam nyo naman, yan yung kumakalat ngayon. So yan po muna ang kailangan nating masuri, at hindi tayo kailangan nag-iisip kung ito ay influenza o COVID-19. Una muna nating i-rule out o i-rule in ay yung COVID-19.
Based on studies, some of the benefits of flu vaccine include reduced possibility of getting hospitalized and admitted in an intensive care unit or ICU.
As much as 40%. It reduces the risk of being hospitalized because of flu. Pag ikaw daw ay nakatanggap ng flu vaccine, yung probability mo na ma-admit sa isang ospital because of flu ay bumababa. It decreases the risk by as much as 82% of you being admitted in the ICU.
Flu vaccine is given free in DOH accredited or government hospitals. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Today, the country's Department of Foreign Affairs reports no new deaths among our nationals abroad due to COVID-19. Although 27 new confirmed COVID-19 cases and 9 new recoveries were recorded in Asia and the Pacific and Europe. As of today, a total of 192 confirmed cases among our nationals overseas have been reported. That includes a death toll of 647. More than 5,000 have been discharged from hospitals and have recovered, while over 3,000 are still undergoing treatment. DFA's report today comes from 69 countries and regions with Filipino COVID-19 cases.
More than 200 locally stranded individuals seek shelter at the Manila North Harbor. The stranded individuals appeal to their local governments to allow them to travel back to their homes. Vincent Arboleda will join us tonight to tell us why live. Yes, Vincent.
Yes, Harleen. According to Manila Port authorities, there is still a ban on travel to Iloilo, Negros Occidental, and Cebu City. Today, 72 individuals were seen staying outside the Manila Port Harbor, while close to 200 were inside the place. Those individuals were supposed to travel to Iloilo and Bacolod, but their trip was cancelled following the temporary ban on returning locally stranded individuals, or LSI. Some are seeking refuge in tents, while others are taking shelter under a roofed part of the Manila North Harbor entrance. Cardboards are laid on the ground to serve as their chair and bed. Despite the intense heat during daytime and occasional rains this afternoon until the evening, they chose to stay because they have very limited resources left. Harleen, earlier I talked to Rose Nicolas, who was supposed to travel last July 21. She said she was forced to take shelter in tents because she does not have enough money to travel back to Rizal. While Jameson Dagon, who came from Bacoor, Cavite, said they traveled to the port carrying their tickets without receiving any notice of cancellation of their trips.
Pagdating dito, nag-antay kami na supposed July 21, alas 10 ang biyahe namin. In-extend nila daw ng alas 11. Pagdating na mga 12:30, nag-announce sila na wala daw biyahe. Anong gagawin namin? Dapat nung gabi pa lang, in-inform na nila kami. Para at least hindi na kami pupunta dito.
Harleen, James said that they no longer have a place to return to because he and his companions already took their deposits for their boarding houses, believing that they could go home to their provinces today. Rose, Jameson, and the other stranded individuals made an appeal to their local government executives in Negros Occidental and Iloilo to allow them to return home. Jameson added that should they be allowed to go home to their provinces in Iloilo and Negros Occidental, they are willing to undergo quarantine and follow the protocols set by their local government. Harleen?
Vincent, I understand there are some individuals who are being housed right now inside the vicinity of the Manila North Harbor, but do port authorities have a concrete response on this matter now?
Harleen, the Manila Port Authorities, together with the Philippine Coast Guard, conducted a meeting earlier but have yet to release their action for the stranded individuals.
Vincent, how about the DILG, the department? Are there any responses from the department or their local government units on this issue of locally stranded individuals?
Yes, Harleen, the Iloilo government plans to put a maximum number of returning LSI that they can accommodate at any given time, which is around 500 to 600 LSI. This is so that the local government can ensure that all returning individuals will be taken care of without compromising the health of the local population. While the Cebu City government also sent a letter of request to the IATF asking the national government to allow the city to accept their returning LSIs, but has yet to receive a response from the IATF. Harleen?
Okay, thank you so much, Vincent Arboleda, for that report. Meanwhile, because of COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of our overseas Filipino workers have been laid off from work. One of them is J.R. Lucas, who's on his 5th year as a data controller in Saudi Arabia when he was retrenched by his company. While he has no work here in the Philippines, J.R. used his savings to set up a small variety store to sustain their everyday needs.
Alam ko po na hindi po ganong sasapat po yung kinikita po sa amin sa sari-sari store, pero nagpapasalamat na rin po ako sa Diyos na kahit papaano po yung pong aking naipon ay nagkaroon po ng kabuluhan upang matustusan po yung mga pang-araw-araw po naming gastusin.
Repatriated OFWs who would like to start their own small businesses may now have the option to loan money from the Department of Trade and Industries, helping the economy recover through OFW Enterprise Startups or HEROES program. The program through the DTI Small Business Corporation is open for all land-based and non-professional OFWs who have returned to the country due to job layoffs brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Under the program, OFWs may borrow a minimum of 10,000 pesos up to 100,000 pesos with zero interest rate. It has a service fee of 6% for those who will avail of the 24 months payment term and 8% for 36 months payment term.
Meron ditong 12 buwan na nag-grace period o hindi muna pagbabayad. So kung baga, if you borrowed for 24 months, ibig sabihin, 12 buwan ka munang hindi magbabayad, and on the 13th month, yun ang simula ng iyong pagbabayad.
Interested borrowers should first register with the Philippine Trade Training Center or PTTC on their website for the free 22-hour online training on how to start a business. After the training, they will submit a video business pitch explaining how the loan will be used, which include product design, cost breakdown, inventory requirements, and projected sales.
Isa sa mga dapat niyang natutunan ay kung paano gumawa ng isang business pitch. Paano niya ipapaliwanag yung kagustuhan, yung gusto niyang maging negosyo. Paano niya ipapaliwanag kung paano siya kikita. At itong video na ito ay kasamang isasubmit naman sa amin, sa SB Corp, upang kami ay mag-evaluate based on the video and based on the documents that they will be submitting. O kaya kung magkano ang makukuha nilang loan amount.
Applicants must also secure their loan application form, government-issued ID with picture, and certification or proof of repatriation from the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA. Aside from the video business pitch, they must also submit DTI registration and business permit issued by the local government for those who will loan more than 50,000 up to 100,000 pesos. For those interested, applicant OFWs may register on PTT's website or contact the SB Corporation for more information.
More than 200 drivers of traditional jeepneys resort to alternative sources of income as their operation remains suspended. Let's find out why from Asher Kadapan Jr.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has yet to open a route for traditional public utility jeepneys or PUJ in Visayas Avenue, Quezon City. 206 drivers used to ply the route between Tandang Sora and Quezon City Hall. It has been 4 months since those jeepney drivers stopped operating. Now, most of them resorted to alternative sources of income.
Mabigyan man ng biyahe, ilan-ilan na lang ang makakabiyahe. Kung mabigyan naman ng modernized na sasakyan, ilan-ilan lang po makakakuha. Alam nyo, ang pinakamasakit pa magtatapos na kami rito. Yung ayudang pinapangako ulit na magkakaroon pa ulit ng financial support sa amin. Wala naman po kaming natatanggap niyan.
Uncertain as to when they could earn regular income through their jeepneys, the Tandang Sora Visayas Avenue City Hall Jeepney Operators and Drivers Association have decided to permanently shut down their terminal in Visayas Avenue. According to their spokesperson Jude Resho, they can no longer sustain the payment for the monthly rent and utility bills. But they are hoping that the government would listen to their plea and finally allow them to resume their operation.
Ibigay niyo yung para sa amin. Maawa kayo. Kahit wag niyo na kami bigyan ng pinapangako ng pinansyal o ano-ano pa man, pabiyahihin niyo kami.
UNTV News and Rescue has tried to get a statement from LTFRB on the situation of the drivers, but the agency has yet to make one. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Jago, we are on board the UNTV radio mobile booth and we are here in Commonwealth Avenue in Batasan Hills, Quezon City. Let's take a look at the situation on the road. So far, we have a moderate traffic in this area of Commonwealth Avenue for motorists coming from Elliptical Road going to Fairview. Meanwhile, on the other side of the road, expect a light traffic flow for vehicles coming from Fairview heading to Elliptical Road to EDSA. Malacanang welcomes the petitions filed against anti-terrorism law. Various groups and sectors have questioned the constitutionality of the law before the Supreme Court. More than 10 petitions have been filed already. According to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, through these petitions, the constitutionality of the provisions of the law being questioned will be determined.
We welcome all these petitions. After all, it is the Supreme Court that will uphold the supremacy of the Constitution. So maraming salamat din po sa kanila dahil magbibigyan ng linaw kung talagang labag sa saligang batas po itong bagong batas laban sa terorismo.
Today, more groups filed their petitions against the controversial anti-terrorism law before the Supreme Court, bringing the total number of petitioners to at least 16. Opposition Senators Kiko Pangilinan and Laila de Lima, Quezon City Representative Kit Belmonte, together with constitutional framers Flor Angel Braid and Ed Garcia as petitioners, filed a petition today asking the High Court to declare the entire law unconstitutional. The National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, together with journalists journalists from various news outlets, artists, and cultural workers also filed a petition for certiorari and prohibition of the law, maintaining that the draconian measure poses clear danger to Filipinos' rights and liberties. Students from various universities and youth groups also filed their petition today. 15 days after its publication on July 3, the anti-terrorism law formally took effect last Saturday, with the implementing rules and regulations, or IRR, yet to be finalized. The National Bureau of Investigation has its probe underway on the Bureau of Corrections. This move is in connection with the deaths of high-profile inmates in the new Bilibid prison. Director General Gerald Bantag, as the chief of Bucor, is now a subject of criticisms because of doubts surrounding the deaths of those inmates. Senator Richard Gordon even suggested to remove Bantag from his post. According to Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara, the Justice Department has no control over Bucor, but only supervision. Guevara adds that Bantag is a presidential appointee, and the president's trust is the measure of the Bucor Director General's continuance in office. On the matter of DG Bantag's taking a leave of absence while the NBI is conducting its probe, Secretary Guevara says the DOJ leaves it entirely to Bantag's discretion.
And for the news abroad, here's Mariel Latota live from Perth, Australia. What have you got for us tonight, Mariel?
Diego, today Western Australia reported 0 new cases of COVID-19, but Australian Medical Association's WA president emphasizes that it is too early to know if the country's largest state is still free of coronavirus community transmission. Also, I will tell you why Australia reported today its biggest budget deficit since World War II.
All right, go ahead, Mariel, tell us why.
It is too early to know if Western Australia is still free of coronavirus community transmission, advises Australian Medical Association's WA President Andrew Miller. Miller recommends for West Australians to be humbler, even as the state currently has a low COVID-19 infection rate. This is because interstate arrivals in the last month or so could be the spreading of the virus already. He said that Western Australia, which reported 0 new cases of COVID-19 overnight, is no different from other states. He added that he is worried about Victoria's continuing rise in infection rates. He welcomed the state government's tougher quarantine measures. Premier Mark McGowan has put people returning from Victoria in the same category as international arrivals as far as isolation requirements are concerned. One area most affected by this situation is the freight industry, where truck drivers delivering groceries and medical supplies to the state used to be able to freely cross interstate borders. They may now be subject to new restrictions. Drivers coming from interstate are already required to wear masks when outside their vehicle, but might soon need to undergo COVID-19 test upon arrival. Although the driver could have left by the time the results are available, the test would still allow for contact tracing should there be a need. Drivers support the testing because it would make them feel safe, according to Chair of the Freight and Logistics Council of WA, Nicole Lockwood. Due to industry size and frequency of required testing, a critical issue is the ability to test through Medicare, and they are hoping for an outcome from the National Cabinet meeting tomorrow. Also, Australia reported today its biggest budget deficit since World War II, as the coronavirus crisis knocks the country into its first recession in 3 decades. Despite government support, the real gross domestic product, or GDP, is forecast to have contracted by 7% in the second quarter of the year, though activity is expected to pick up in the present quarter. Australian Treasurer Josh Frydenberg forecasts that the unemployment rate would peak at around 9.25% in the fourth quarter, but will stay elevated beyond 2020. While antivirus restrictions have broadly been eased across most of the country, Australia is still in the grip of heightened uncertainty as its second most populous state, Victoria, is seeing a second wave of infections.
Australia is experiencing a health and economic crisis like nothing we have seen in the last 100 years. Tragically, 128 Australians have lost their lives as a result of COVID-19. And as we stand here today, more than 5 million of my fellow Victorians are in lockdown. Our economy has taken a big hit, and there are many challenges we confront. We can see the mountain ahead, and Australia begins the climb. We must remain strong. We must draw strength from our resilience as a nation and a people, and we will get through this, and we will get through this together.
Not only did Australia report its biggest budget deficit since World War II, but also its highest daily number of coronavirus-related deaths in 3 months.
So we have 7,125 cases. That's 403 new cases since we last reported to you.
Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews also announced a payment of $300 Australian for any Victorian that needed to isolate after being tested for the virus, but does not have the sick leave to pay for staying at home.
About trying to make sure that there's that wicked choice between feeding your family, between providing for your family as an earner, doesn't compromise or see you making bad choices for every other family across our state.
A 3D printed model is giving doctors in the UK a detailed understanding of what coronavirus disease 2019 does to the lungs at the height of the infection. The life-size model, made by Actual 3D with Formlabs 3D printers, was taken from a CT scan of a patient at Belfast Health and Social Care Trust 14 days into the infection. It will be used for surgical planning. While the patient concerned survived, there may be long-term damage caused by the virus. The model shows in yellow the inflammatory pus and scarred tissue that sit within the airways, stopping the patient getting oxygen into their blood. The model lungs are split into 8 parts, enabling it to be opened up and provide a range of views of just how deep the infection is, delivering unique insights into the virus and how it affects the patient's lung. Actual 3D and Formlabs are hoping to use this model as a tool to educate the public about the severity of COVID-19 as the world prepares for a potentially deadlier second wave. Let us now take a closer look at the updated count of coronavirus cases in countries worst hit by the pandemic. The United States of America has over 3.9 million positive cases of COVID-19, with more than 143,000 lives lost to the killer virus. California overtook New York on Wednesday as the worst-hit state for cases of COVID-19. California has 413,576 confirmed cases to date, according to the California Department of Public Health, while New York has 408,886 with new cases in 42 counties. In California, a total of 33 counties are required to close indoor operations for certain sectors based on the July 13 order to slow community transmission. Florida is the third worst hit U.S. state with 379,619. Meanwhile, Brazil remains as number 2 with over 2.2 million confirmed cases. Trailing it is India, a country with a population of over 1.3 billion, and the Asian country with the most COVID-19 cases, surpassing 1.2 million. South Africa, meanwhile, with the world's 5th biggest virus caseload, has surpassed the numbers reported by European countries and other South American nations, with cases of coronavirus infection close to 400,000. Hong Kong residents with British National Overseas or BNO visas will be able to apply for citizenship starting from January 2021, the British Interior Minister announced on Wednesday. London's decision, which could see nearly 3 million Hong Kong residents settling in Britain, came after Beijing imposed a national security law on the former British colony. Britain says the law breaches the terms of the Handover Treaty agreed in 1984. China accuses Britain of interfering in Hong Kong and Chinese affairs. The Chinese embassy later said in a statement that Britain had made the decision despite opposition from Beijing, and China would respond strongly if it was not reversed. Elsewhere in France, a hospital in the southern French city of Lyon is testing patients with a new machine that enables them to breathe into a tube to see whether they have COVID-19 in a matter of seconds. The machine is entering its second trial phase after 3 months of use on dozens of people. The group participating in the trial includes some infected with the virus and some are not. Unlike the uncomfortable standard PCR tests, it is not invasive and provides an immediate result. The machine will register the molecules in the exhaled air and then detects the traces of the sickness. Jean-Christophe Richard, head of intensive care at the hospital, said the objective was to have the machine fully operational by the end of the year. And those are the reasons behind the news here in Australia and in other parts of the globe. Back to you, Diego.
Well, thank you for that report, Marielle. Stay safe there in Perth, Australia.
The last Qantas Boeing 747 has gone out with a hop. Qantas Airways' final Boeing 747 jet drew a kangaroo, resembling the company's logo in the sky off the Australian coast as it began its ultimate flight to retirement in the Mojave Desert on Wednesday. That ends the model's almost 50 years of service at the carrier. Flight QF7474, a Boeing 747-400, started its final flight out of Sydney at 2 p.m. local time, flying over the Harbour Bridge, northern and eastern suburb beaches, as well as the Horse Museum in Albion Park. Qantas posted an animation of the flight path on Twitter and said that the journey had a special display en route to the U.S. Qantas 747 carried more than 250 million people in almost half a century of service, including Queen Elizabeth II since 1971 and every Australian Olympic team since 1984. Qantas was once the world's only airline with an all 747 fleet. Those are the reasons behind the news, July 23, 2020. I am Harleen Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III. Because we need to know. We will always ask why. Have a great evening.